Hello and welcome. I'm your host Shahzad Raza. We continue our special transmission at PTV World as Pakistan got the victory thanks to our brave soldiers. And in fact, we owe a great debt to our brave soldiers who responded in an unprecedented manner. Never heard of in the history of modern warfare. The airplanes, the air bases, their air defense system, all destroyed. Pakistani pilots, Pakistani soldiers, they took a stand thanks to the leadership of our civilian and armed forces, and they gave the enemy the matching, or rather a greater response against all the atrocity it was doing. First of all, they created a drama facade under a false flag Pahalgam operation, and then they attacked inside Pakistan, killing innocent civilians. And Pakistani civilian and military leadership vowed to take the revenge and the appropriate action at an appropriate time. And they did not stop there. They tried to attack our air bases, and although they failed to cause any significant damage over there, but the response the Pakistan gave to the India and their armed forces was really unprecedented, and that's why they surrendered to the terms and conditions set by Pakistan at the international community. And the Americans, they played a significant role, and in fact Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif thanked President Donald Trump for his role in having this ceasefire between the two countries. Now we have a ceasefire, but still we are getting reports that India is violating the ceasefire. The drones were spotted all the way on the Pakistani skies, not only in Azad Kashmir but on the mainland Pakistan as well. But it doesn't matter. Indian media, which was really going jingoistic and provoking the Indian government to take whatever step they could against Pakistan, and now they are flabbergasted. Now they are in a state of shock, and they in fact are criticizing their own government, asking Prime Minister Modi and their fanatic cabinet ministers to show up and tell the nation what exactly happened, why they agreed to the ceasefire. Earlier they set the mood of the entire nation that they are going to destroy Pakistan, but they had to agree to the ceasefire brokered by Americans and other international important capitals in the world and several important friendly countries of Pakistan. But now there is total chaos, dismay, disappointment among the Indian media, among the Indian public. But Pakistan agreed to the ceasefire. We did not want any escalation at any stage. In the beginning, when Pahalgam false flag operation took place, we offered full cooperation. We offered India that if it wanted, Pakistan would fully cooperate, and there has to be an independent and impartial inquiry into that incident. But Modi Sarkar refused. Why they refused? Because if there was any independent or transparent investigation into Pahalgam attack, their lies would expose, and it would be exposed that it was in fact a false flag operation, not the work of any non-state actor supported by any other country. But now we have a ceasefire, although there are several violations as taking place, and we are receiving. Pakistan defended itself in such a befitting manner that our heads are raised with greater pride, and we really salute our armed forces. An entire nation fought this operation under the banner of Operation Bunyan al-Marsus in its own way. There are rallies across Pakistan celebrating the victory and saluting the armed forces and Pakistani civilians, and literally our hearts and our thoughts and prayers for all the families who lost their loved ones in the Indian atrocities. And there would never be any zero tolerance. There would be zero tolerance against any such attack by the enemy state. But since we are a peaceful nation, we wanted the peaceful solution of all the disputed issues. This is the time when the world has taken a stand and ensuring a ceasefire between the two countries. Now this is the time when all the disputed issues, including the core dispute of the Jammu and Kashmir, should also be resolved with the intervention of the greater power in the world. And this is the high time. We are going to discuss this in this program, and what exactly happened during the last 2 days, and now what is going to happen in the coming days, weeks and months to come. Will their sanity prevail among the Indian media and Indian government? It is highly unlikely, but we have told them that we can defend ourselves and we would continue to do so in whenever it comes to that. In the studio, I am being joined by Dr. Sundas Mustaqeem. She is a professor at the Analyst University. Thank you so much, Dr. Saiba, for your precious time. Dr. Gul-i-Ayesha Bhatti, she is an international expert and also a professor, also joining us on the video link. Thank you so much, Dr. Ayesha. Very soon we are going to be joined by Sayyid Muhammad Ali and Humayun Khan. Dr. Sundas, to you. Now we have a ceasefire and we really cannot trust India. There are reports of the ceasefire violation minutes after the ceasefire had taken place. You think that India would really honor this ceasefire, or do you think that we should really trust India at this stage?
Yeah, as you just said, we really cannot trust India. So we have certainly had this trust issues with India because of their own, because there's a history, India has a history of breaking ceasefires, and they are not actually admitting the international even rules when it comes to this water treaty. But we have seen if they can break the international laws in the name of Indus Water Treaty, what you can expect from India in terms of ceasefire. They have this long history of breaking the ceasefire. We only wish and pray that they will finally obey what Trump has said, and Marco Rubio, US Secretary of State, played a really important role in bringing out this ceasefire. So we strongly wish and pray, and we can only hope, we can only wish, and we can only pray that India would actually respect this ceasefire thing. That's in the national interest of both the, not only India and Pakistan, both the countries, but actually in the national interest of the whole South Asia region in particular.
If there any such thing left in them, the respect, do you think that?
Of course, when it comes to Indian media in particular, because I think they are not in one page. There is a horrible institutional integrity. They lack institutional integrity currently in India because the media, the government is not in one page actually. Media is saying something else and the government is saying something else, and media is actually angry with this, what government is doing, but their armed forces and the leadership what has said, announced that they are actually, if they try to respect the ceasefire thing, but I think the media is not accepting this. The Indian media is actually behaving the most immature and the funniest media ever. Currently, I don't think so. Like they are making fun of journalism, I would say. So what is happening in media, in Indian journalism, what is happening in what Indian media is doing is actually they are making fun of journalism because. Because the way they are propagating, they're spreading manipulation and negative propaganda. I think this is they are actually, they are setting another example of German analysis. So I think after that, and after this John F. Kennedy's election campaign on television in 1945, World War II of this radio propaganda, I think there's in 2025, in the 21st century, Indian media is setting another example of this negative propaganda and this manipulation.
Very right, very right. Gul-i-Ayesha Bhatti Sahiba, the thing is, the American leadership, President Donald Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio, they played a very significant role in ensuring the ceasefire between the two countries. And why they did that? After Pakistan flexed its muscle and told the world that it had the capability not only to defend itself under the Article 51 of the UN Charter, but also go for the offensive it needed. So there were like hurriedly made telephone calls and overnight and night-long diplomacy and efforts and everything. We thank them. Why? Because we believe that 1/5 of the population lived in this region, and any escalation between the two nuclear rivals could result into much more devastating catastrophe. But the thing is, the Indians, they are questioning the role of the American leadership. Indian media is questioning the role of American leadership, asking them that they had no right to intervene. So this is the question they should ask to the government. If India was not easy with any intervention or the role, positive role played by the Americans or other countries, important countries, so why would they agree to that? If they wanted war, we gave them the war. We paid that in the same coin, and we literally showed them that their defense is nothing but a wall of sand. So why are they so upset about this ceasefire, and why they are still provoking the government to violate the ceasefire, and still there are violations?
Well, Raza, you are absolutely correct. But there is one thing they are worried about more. That is that it's been exposed that they are the warmongers. It has been exposed that they are those guys who has been violating all this time the international arena, the international community. They are questioning their credibility. We have to understand one thing that is coming to my mind, and that is it's not the nations. They are not being tested during any peaceful time, during any calm time, but they are tested during the time of the crisis, during the time of the war. And Pakistan, since all these 18 days specifically, they came out of it as a very dignified nation, and with full resolution and courage and dignity and respect. On the other hand, we have seen that Indians, they have been shouting, they has been making things out of nothing, and they would always their blame game was there, and they were trying to take a unilateral action. They actually did that unilateral action. They tried to blame Pakistan, and they tried to attack Pakistan, and all we were doing was just to restrain, and the policy of restraint, and they took it as a cowardice, but it was not. The policy of restraint is always considered as it's a courage of the brave nations. So one thing is important, that they are screaming, they are shouting, they are although there are the credible sources that India is the one who first contacted American administration for the ceasefire, and they requested them. It's everywhere on the news. Now they don't want to admit it. That's another story, because they have lost all their credibility. And what are the takeaway from all these specifically the 18 days standoff? One of them is that Pakistan has come out of it with all the dignity, with all the courage, and the way Pakistani nation, our army administration, our civilians, and specifically our journalists, they came out of it very dignified people.
You are absolutely right. Nick Robertson, a very credible journalist with the CNN, he also reported that after Pakistan exhibited its force and its wrath against India with the missile strikes, and only then Indian realized that this is the time to go for the ceasefire, and they approach every important capital to have the ceasefire. But now they are trying to save their face. I mean, it's a face-saving effort that they are doing this ceasefire violation, and none of the Indian cabinet ministers or the prime minister appear on the media telling the nation that why they agree to the ceasefire. I mean, we were very honest and open and, not apologetic at all about it, that we thank the Americans that fine. We wanted peace in the region. We still want peace in the region. We want everything to be transparent. But those are the Indians who were apologetic about everything, and now they are just trying to hide their faces.
Absolutely, they were actually keeping their nation in fool's paradise. They have blocked all the alternative narratives coming out of the other states, specifically Pakistan. They blocked all the accounts of all those credible information that could have been helped Indian nation to understand and to get the real picture. So that is the thing, and now they are surprised that where this ceasefire came from, because according to their media, they were winning the war. They were taking over the God forbid Karachi, and then Lahore, and then Islamabad. So, according to their India's media, that was highly, I would say, it was unethical. Their warmongering media, and they proved themselves such a kind of journalism that they should be ashamed of. On the other hand, the journalism Pakistan showed was highly disciplined, very official, very, I would say, disciplined and well intact. And there was a synergy between the civilians and the civilians narrative and the military establishment. That was very obvious, and that was really, I would say, it was a very good understanding we can see in that. On the other hand, Indians, they are in surprise, because they were only relying on their own false war mongering. They were sensationalization of the whole scenario, of the whole story that Indian media was doing, and unfortunately, they were keeping them in fool's paradise, and now they are surprised what is happening to them. That was not. And right now, this is the reason that the ceasefire is not somehow making anything, any sense to the Indian population. And there is another thing that, there are so many Indians in the India, they want to understand what actually happened, and they are not in the favor of this whole war, or a whole, obviously we are two nuclear nations on the brink of the war. South Asia, the whole South Asia is disturbed. But the government there, especially the RSS supported government, they want to create this panic. They want to achieve, they have that bigger Mahabharata agenda, and that is really a kind of detrimental for the whole South Asia. So when we talk about the ceasefire, so this ceasefire, yes, please.
Let's talk, Dr. Sundar, let's talk about the Indian jingoistic media a little further. The thing is, the single footage what they are showing and claiming victory against Pakistan is some social media feed of a missile attack at Noor Khan Air Base. But according to Pakistani officials and the eyewitness accounts, only one vehicle was damaged and there was nothing. And that air base is basically used for the landing and taking off of civilians and military aircrafts, and nothing to do with the bigger Pakistani military and air force infrastructure. The thing is, the only feed, and they are claiming the victory, and we have like tons of footage coming out from India and shot by our own drones and airplanes, showing that what damage we actually caused to the India, but still they are claiming the victory and everything. At least there should be at least some semblance of decency and the professionalism if they consider them the journalists at all.
Decency and professionalism, what are you, Mr. Shahzad, talking about regarding the Indian media? The way they are being so judgmental, the Indian anchors, as if they are the decision makers of the nation, as if they are the one who are actually going to throw this drone in, God forbid, in Lahore, Karachi and Rawalpindi. Did you notice the body language of that lady, Sofia Qureshi, when she was saying that we want ceasefire, India don't want any escalation? Did you notice her body language? The way she was expressing, as if the moment they launched this Operation Sindoor, the body language was so strong, as if they are going to launch something which will save their nation from this Muslim and Pakistan phobia, I would say, and they are horribly insecure with Pakistan since quite so long. So the moment they launched this Operation Sindoor, her body language was entirely different as compared to the moment when she was announcing that we don't want ceasefire and want peace and everything and all that stuff. But at the same time, that Indian media was yelling like anything, as if they have already destroyed, God forbid, in the Pakistan and the main cities. But the thing is, the point here to note is that luckily we have not only in the ceasefire thing, we have actually as communication, through proper communication, and luckily we are on one table when it comes to ceasefire. But when it comes to Indus Water Treaty, that was our main agenda, and that was the main threat actually, because Pakistan being the agriculture nation, we mostly rely on agriculture and water. So that was the main threat actually. And they actually used this water treaty, they weaponized this thing. So they broke this, already broke this international law. But when it comes to, as you just said, representing stories on media, so I think it's not just their social media, but their mainstream media is actually promoting the yellow journalism and the street journalism.
True that.
Not even a single responsible and conscious media in the whole world or a person should believe in such fabricated stories what Indian media has been portraying in a very negative and look at the way they're delivering and presenting the news items. I mean, as if we are watching some cartoon channels or whatsoever. So to yell through the media and through the negatively propaganda and fabricated stories, I think not even a single responsible and conscious media is supposed to do that.
Of course,
so,
of course. Of course. Go on, finish your
of course. So by yelling and shouting like anything cannot defend your stance actually. So this Indian media need to understand that by representing false stories and negative propaganda, they cannot defend themselves, they cannot prove themselves right. And at the same time, when Sofia Qureshi is having this giving this shaking statement that we want peace and we want this ceasefire thing, and at the same time, how could you do that? I mean, how can you defend yourself by just shouting and yelling? and they have actually divided all the prime Indian channels and prime news anchors and program hosts. Actually, they divided the cities of Pakistan. Then one was taking charge of Pindi, one was taking charge of Lahore. That yes, I am the one who's actually throwing drones in Lahore, and I am the one who's actually doing this.
Right.
So this is so funny. Actually, this
It
is hard to believe.
indeed. It's funny. It's a circus. What we see, and we will continue to see. Mark my words, on the Indian media, and they will try to hide their embarrassment under the garb of so-called success they achieved against Pakistan. Dr. Bhatti, now the Indian analyst on the Indian channel, and I've been observing a couple of Indian channels, and the analysts on those channels, they are asking Prime Minister Modi and some of the fanatics in his own cabinet to whether the promises they made with the nation of destroying Pakistan army or destroying the so-called the terrorist network inside Pakistan were fulfilled. So what answer Mr. Modi and his the war cabinet would give to the media, because these are the question now the people in India and especially the opposition parties are asking at the moment, that whether they have achieved the targets, whether they have achieved the objectives, fulfill all those promises they made to the nation before going against Pakistan after Pahalgam operation. What answer we are expecting from them?
First of all, I just want to continue with what Dr. Sundas said, and that was that the journalists, they were this much, they were a kind of screaming on the screen and making false claims. So it comes to my mind that it says that history, that it doesn't remember that who screamed how much loudly, but history remembers all those who stood by and with a dignified manner and faced the consequences and faced the threats. So I think history is not going to memorize all those screaming voices and they were making and all the propaganda they were doing. And now that coming to this point that what kind of answer administration of the Modi is going to give to the people, now they are going to be in a very perplexed situation, because initially they were having this kind of idea that they are going to make Pakistan accountable on their false claims, and they are going to take the unilateral actions and nobody is going to retaliate and then the response. But however, in a very mature way, in a very professional way, we waited for some time and we offered them an independent international investigation to it. And eventually when we saw, okay, the threshold he is going to cross, and then we need to reestablish the deterrence. So for that reason, we had to retaliate, and that was our right as well, although we gave enough time to them. And now once the table has been turned, and the Modi government, they were not, they are actually surprised. They were not expecting this kind of reaction from our army. So now they don't know how to answer. That's the reason that you saw that they did the press conference, and without answering the questions of the journalists, they just left the room. So it means that they don't have any answer. They don't have any kind of justification for what they did. And I would blame it to the Mr. Modi's government, that initially they put the words in the mouth of the media and all the journalists and analysts, those who are now asking him in the return that, okay, you told us that these are the...
Dr. Bhatti, now the Indian media and the Indian public, thanks to the warmongering initiated at first by Indian government and Mr. Modi and his cronies, and now the media, jingoistic media and Indian public and the opposition are asking questions whether all the promises you guys made with the nation were fulfilled. Now they are asking questions whether you achieve the targets. I mean, they claimed and they vowed to, crush the Pakistan army and destroyed all the so-called, again, big so-called terrorist networks in Pakistan, which really don't exist at all. But now they have to answer those questions. And while they won't be answering those questions, they would resort to another, stupidity in the days or maybe weeks to come.
We have to understand one thing. They are our neighbors. We know them very well. Now they are going to make movies on it, and they are making all those guys, their army and their air force as our heroes. We have seen this in the history as well. So they are not going to stop over here. They are going to make the false movies. The Bollywood is one of the agenda, or is on the agenda of the RSS ideology, and RSS is actually this Hindutva is the ideological cousin of this Zionism. And they were thinking just like Israel, okay, Pakistan is Palestine. No, Pakistan is not Palestine. You are trying to bring that Israeli strategy, how they are trying to aerial bombarding the whole Palestine, and you are thinking that you can do it with the Pakistan. You cannot. We are Pakistan.
Are you saying,
Actually,
and I'll get back to you on this, Dr. Bhatti, but Dr. Sundas, whatever Dr. Bhatti was saying, did India underestimate Pakistan?
As always, of
As
course.
always. They did that.
Not their army, not they might not their leadership, but yes, their media. In fact, of course, they are not going to admit, And my colleague Ms. Asha very rightly has said that of course they are going to make movies out of it, and that's the cultural diplomacy we need to adopt. Why we always do that? I always say sports, when it comes to sports diplomacy, when it comes to cultural diplomacy.
No, that's fine. That's fine. We'll come to that. We'll come to this public diplomacy and everything. But my question is, why did they underestimate our power, our capability of response? Because despite all their intelligence network and resources and everything and support from the countries like Israel, why they underestimated us?
Underestimated in a sense, they are no matter they are more in quantity, but they cannot deny our quality. That defense mechanism system is extremely strong, and they knew it very well. Their agencies, they knew it very well. So they cannot even dare to underestimate our defense mechanism system. But yes, they have to portray their image in front of the whole world, that because they are so-called a powerful country and the self-claimed democratic nation, the self-claimed fourth or fifth largest, now they are claiming they are the fourth largest economy in the whole world. So they have to defend their image. Actually, they have to defend their shaking image in front of the whole world. That's why they have to portray that we are intentionally underestimating the Pakistan, but in real they cannot afford to do that actually in real. So in order to defend their shaking image that they are facing this defeat against Pakistan, so they have to pretend as if they are in a winning position. So it's all about their star pass drama, is all about their negative portrayal through the media. So they are actually using media as a tool to spread this negative propaganda, and that's my view.
And it's so funny that they're still portraying it. It's so
but
funny.
I think they are, the way they are using media as a tool of negative propaganda and manipulation. So why don't we do that? Because we always behave decently.
Very right. Dr. Bhatti, the thing is, we proved our superiority against the Indian forces, and of course it includes the professionalism of our armed forces, the greater capability of our Air Force pilot, and of course our technology, thanks to our friends the China, with their cooperation we managed to achieve the superiority as far as the skies were concerned. The question is, now the world is keenly watching, and they watch keenly what exactly happened in the air when the Chinese technology met with the Western technology, and there was a fight, and we managed to down there several state-of-the-art aircraft manufactured by one of the important European countries. The thing is, it was a test of Chinese technology and Pakistani technology versus Indian technology and the Western technology. So it's very interesting. The analysts who keenly observe such developments across the world, they are discussing about it, that now it was the first time it happened, and really unprecedented in the modern warfare history of the modern warfare.
Yes, absolutely, you are right. It was actually a test of the Chinese technology as compared to the Western technology, and we have seen that how the Rafales, its stocks were, how its prices were going down, and how the Chinese market is booming again. And we have to understand one thing: we should remember all those states, those who were standing by us, and they were completely showing your cooperation openly, and one of them is China and the Turkey. And we have seen that how Saudi and how how UAE and Iran, they have been providing their support, and they were actually becoming the part of the whole mediation process. We saw that yesterday, Iranian representative and then Saudi representative, their foreign secretary, they were there in India, and then they came to Pakistan for all this mediation process. So it shows that international community is there, and they are there to resolve the issues, and they are there to bring the mediation on successfully on the table. And but there is a very interesting factor. We understand that why India was thinking that we are weak, because somehow Pakistan was facing economic, political challenges, and it was apparently it was making Pakistan a weak state in international forum. But we have to understand one thing, and that is that we are not weak. Rather, we showed all the determination and courage in this regard.
Of course, we are not weak, of course, and we obviously, and that is why, and we are not weak, and we are not liars, and we in fact when it Pahalgam incident took place, and we believe that it was a false flag operation. There were evidence and footprint of Indian deep state all over. We offered our cooperation and full support. Even we offered that there should be an independent and transparent inquiry, may be supervised by any other country, but India refused. Why did they refuse?
Come again?
The Pahalgam false flag operation, we offered our cooperation. We said that let's have a independent and fair inquiry, and to be monitored, supervised by any third country. They refused. Why did they refuse?
Because it was false flag operation itself is a proof. Because they didn't cooperate, this neglection and they didn't cooperate as itself is a proof that it was a false flag operation. You know, not even a single Indian condemned the Jafar Express, and all the Pakistanis actually condemned this Pahalgam false flag operation. Even if we knew that it was a false flag operation, but the footage, no matter the AI generated footage or the real footage, but the footage actually in the name of courtesy or being the neighboring country, every single Pakistani condemned the Pahalgam operation, but not even a single Indian condemned the Jafar Express. We also lost our men, 27 men from Pakistan also this embraced Shahadat, and we have a video on our part as well. You know, the moment they launched Operation Sindoor make us think that we also lost our men, we also had our orphans and widows in Jafar Express, but the way they portrayed this Operation Sindoor as the only one who has actually suffered out of this thing. So Jafar Express, so how can we forget this Jafar Express in the light of this Pahalgam? So we should keep on talking about Jafar Express. We should keep highlighting as Jafar Express, because we also have lost 27 men, and this is not the only incident. Overall in the war against terrorism, we have lost like more than 90,000 men, and not just women. We have lost our women and kids as well. So we should keep on highlighting a Jafar Express.
It was very.
They are highlighting Pahalgam incident like anything in front of the whole or international level. So when it comes to condemning any terrorist attack in Pakistan, they never do that. And when it comes to false flag operation, they use this tactic and strategy while using this Pahalgam incident to attack on Pakistan. So there is a school of thought that they are trying to behave like in Israel, and they mistakenly thought if we are not a nuclear state but Gaza actually. So we still raise our voice for Jafar Express and Gaza, and they should not forget that this is not Gaza, we are a nuclear state.
Exactly. Interesting point raised by Dr. Sundas, Dr. Ayesha. The question is, why India so far, despite all the resources they have in their hand, failed to arrest even a single person directly involved into Pahalgam incident? I mean, this is the question even their media is asking. Fine, you are hurling allegations against Pakistan, but on the other hand, the people who were involved in that incident, I mean, the people who shot fire and killed all those tourists at Pahalgam, why were they not interested? Why are they still at large? If it was not initiated or conducted or masterminded by Indian deep state, then if they were non-state actors, terrorists or the normal criminals, why they were not arrested so far despite all the resources you have in your hand in that particular area? Number one. And number two, now we are offering India time and again, to come to the table, have a meaningful dialogue on all the disputed issue, including the issue of the Jammu and Kashmir. But India is always shying away from the dialogue process. And you think that after the ceasefire and the mediation and the interruption by important world capitals, the things are moving in that direction, when world would finally realize that it is the time that the two countries should resolve their differences, and the burden or the pressure should be on India to leave the maximalist position it has taken for the over the last several years.
You raised a very interesting question, Shahzad. Coming to your first question, that is that why they are not able to catch all those culprits, because they were involved in it. You know, from my understanding, the deep
Single
state of the India,
individual,
they were
even a single
completely involved
soul.
in.
Of course. Please carry on. Please carry on.
So yeah, and they actually this was the whole made up plan, because the Pahalgam is far away from the ceasefire line, and LOC, far from away from the LOC, and it was highly impossible to reach to that heavy militarized, one of the world's heavy militarized area. So it's impossible to reach over there, and that they know as well. That is the reason that they are not coming toward that independent investigation performed by international institutions. Why? Because they don't have any proof for their claims they are making, and they are condemning Pakistan for that. They don't have. You cannot just verbally put claims on Pakistan's involvement in that. However, you cannot justify your negligence, your intelligence failure, your strategic failure in this region if the other party is involved. And for my understanding, my research says that it was India's own made-up plan. They were looking for some kind of incident so they can fulfill all those hidden agendas they were keeping in their.
But now you think that environment is growing in which the India would be forced by the international powers to sit on the table and try to resolve the important disputed issues, including the core dispute of Jammu and Kashmir. And it must be told to the audience again and again that it was India who took the matter of Jammu and Kashmir to the United Nations. It was India at that behest the United Nations passed all those resolutions giving the right of self-determination to the people of Kashmir. It wasn't Pakistan. So India, then Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, when he promised to the United Nations that yes, India would give the Kashmiris the right of their self-determination. So now they should honor and fulfill the commitments and the promises they made to the world, the people of Kashmir and the United Nations. But since we know the history of betraying, deceit of Indian leadership since very long, you think that this is the time when the world would intervene and this core dispute would be eventually resolved once and for all.
Yeah, it should be like that. In an ideal world, it should be like that. All those disputed, long-awaited incidents, all long-awaited issues should be resolved, including the Indus Water Treaty, including this Kashmir issue and their right of self-determination. However, the international community, they are involved in the ceasefire because they are the stakeholders as well. All of these states, those who bring them all, India and Pakistan on the table, actually they have invested heavily in India as well as in Pakistan. So they are the stakeholders. However, once we talk about the Kashmir, so unfortunately, I don't see that this issue is going to be resolved in near future, because somehow India, it is not going to come on the terms of Indian Kashmiri aspirations. So it's going to be a little difficult. And then we, as you said, that we have seen that throughout the history, India has been talking all lies and no truth. So they are going to get away with it as well without any proper solution. Now here comes the time, here comes this point where international community must understand that both of these nuclear states, they were on the brink of the war. South Asia is a nuclear flashpoint, and if they want that this thing never happens in the future, that there should be a proper solution according to the Kashmir aspiration, according to the UN resolution. All those are,
of course,
yes, they should be respected. They should be addressed according to it. But unfortunately, I don't see it in the future.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gul-i-Ayesha Bhatti, for your time and joining the transmission. We are taking a quick short break and we will continue our discussion after the headlines. Stay with us.